Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars, da na na na. Star Wars: The Force Awakens is directed by J.J. Abrams. It stars Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, and I'm not going to give away the storyline. No, I'm sorry. Not even a little bit of the storyline, because I want you guys to go in this with a fresh mind, guys, because, guys, the storyline in this movie is so genius. Guys, this is the movie that returns us back to Star Wars. I was worried going into this movie. I thought this wouldn't be the movie that, I don't know, I just was worried. I thought that JJ would go the prequels route again, but I was still excited for this movie. But guys, I was blown away when I went into this movie. It was not what I expected at all. The storyline of The Force Awakens is so unique and different from the other Star Wars movies. That's why I don't want to spoil it for you guys. One thing I love about this movie was Daisy Ridley as Rey. She did a great job of humanizing Rey, the main character in this movie. She did such a great job. In fact, the casting in this movie was really great. Now, one thing I really liked about this movie was that JJ went the route of the original trilogy, meaning he casted no-name actors for the original trilogy. Because let's face it, look at the original trilogy. Mark Hamill's first role was in the first Star Wars, Carrie Fisher's first role was Princess Leia, and Han Solo had only been in a few movies besides then. Let's look at the main casting for this movie. Daisy Ridley, her first role. John Boyega, his first role. Oscar Isaac had only been in a few films before that, so really, that's one thing I like about this movie. It mimics the original trilogy in so many ways. Another thing I loved about Star Wars: The Force Awakens was Kylo Ren. Holy crap! I'm not gonna say a lot about Kylo Ren, but dude, this dude is terrifying. I'm sorry, but the dude may rival Darth Vader as a villain. Alright, but I'm serious. Kylo Ren rivals Darth Vader as a villain. Even though in the film, I'm not going to give away too much, but in the film, he does seem like a Darth Vader wannabe, of course, but the dude is still an intimidating villain. I mean, come on, this dude is so freaking terrifying. Another thing about this movie that I really love was the practical effects. Now, as I said before, JJ is trying to mirror the original trilogy a bit in this movie. And what I love about this movie especially was the effects used in this movie. Yes, there's a bit of CGI used, but most of it is practical effects, and the practical effects, guys, in this movie are so well done. My gosh, most of the aliens in here are costumes, but they're so freaking well done. Another thing I love about this movie was the way it was shot. Now again, I'm sorry if I critique shots, but dude, this movie was shot like first Star Wars back in 1977. The reason I say that is because most of it was a bit rustic. I don't know really what I mean. The way it was shot was it had still cameras. Although it had some smooth shots, the original was shot with just smooth, straight shots, and that's what I love about this movie. It was so much like the original 3 Star Wars movies. Another thing in this movie that I actually really enjoyed was the humor. There's so much humor in this movie that I was surprised. This is honestly probably the funniest Star Wars movie we've gotten. Now, it's not like the humor in the original trilogy where it's like, oh look, Jar Jar slipped on something and we're supposed to think it's funny. It's a lot like the humor in the original trilogy, where most of it is argumentative type of humor. And that's one of my favorite kinds of humor, is argumentative type of humor. One thing about this movie that I especially loved was the fan service it does to Star Wars fans. My gosh, there's so much fan service in this movie, and it ties along with the storyline, which is my favorite kind of fan service. Most movies nowadays, they do fan service, but most of the time it's separate from the story. This fan service is inside the story, and that's what I love about it most of all. It fits in with the story, and that's what I love about the fan service. One thing I especially loved about this movie was the fighting. There is so much fighting and space battles in this movie, and it's freaking awesome. And guys, I am proud to say there's no train negotiations! Guys, I gotta be honest with you. I honestly think this is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I'm serious. I love this movie more than any other movie in the Star Wars saga. In the end, overall, guys, Star Wars: The Force Awakens had great action scenes, had great special effects, great incredible acting, great writing. It was shot a lot like the original trilogy. There's so much fan service in this movie. It's so much like the original trilogy. And there's so much in there that is so well done. There's so much stuff in there that's well done. And most of all, it has such a beautiful, and I mean it, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story, I give Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is officially now my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, absolutely, positively gets an A+. Fun fact about my viewing experience during this movie, I went to go see it in IMAX. It was this huge IMAX theater. All the seats were filled. There was not an empty seat. And once the word Star Wars came up and it started playing music in the background, everyone in the theater started cheering and roaring. It was just... Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching my review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. If you like this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. My question for you guys is this. Have you seen Star Wars The Force Awakens? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment down below, let me know. And don't leave any spoilers for people who haven't seen this movie yet. Don't leave any spoilers. Also, guys, what do you think about my t-shirt? I mean, I got this not too long ago. I mean, I don't really wear it, but I'm not a big fan of merchandise collecting, but still, I kind of like it. Anyway, guys, I'm Nathan Movie Guy. I'm just an average Joe who likes movies, and I'll see you guys soon. Got skills, I'm a champion of D&D. MC Escher, that's my favorite MC. Keep your 40 out, just have an Earl Grey tea. My rims never spin, to the contrary. You'll find that they're quite stationary. All of my action figures are cherry.